Well, on today's project of what did I procrastinate about now, we try and get this thing back on the asphalt. Yeah, the speed dust is building up nicely, so hopefully we can shave down those ETs a little bit. Glad to see those cats are doing something. Hey! Now you see the speed dust. It peels off a little bit at a time as you're picking up speed, and that reduces the drag coefficient and lets it run out a bit faster. So when you shine this all up, you're just making that air just stick to the paint, and you don't want that. And when stuff gets too shiny like that, you know, that glare, that can take away from your eyesight when you're trying to wash the tree. It's like a golf ball. That rough surface creates a boundary layer of, turbulent air and lets you go cut right through it quicker. Where do you think the term eat my dust came from? So we've finally been able to get some testing in on the asphalt sled. The old TarCat's been running pretty decent so far. It's never fast enough, but what is? Been keeping notes, trying to find any areas that are really causing us issues. The main things thus far have been traction and suspension setup. We really haven't had any pit crew to assist, so we can't get any videos of the launches, but basically I can kind of see that the sled's kind of it was lifting too much weight at the beginning, and I've gotten to the point now where it's keeping it down a bit better, but it's still kind of hopping and porpoising a little bit, it seems like, off the line depending on traction. We're slowly getting things dialed in on the old TarCat. Been a lot of clutching tweaks and jetting adjustments. Yeah, nothing like working in a solar cooled oven trying to change jets and breathing too many gas fumes. But so far it's been running pretty decent. Seems to handle well, goes down the line pretty straight. Suspension needs some work. Sometimes when you got traction, you're pulling the front end up a bit more than you really like to. That's hurting the 60-foot times. Of course, we're trying to use up last year's gas, so I ought to put some fresh stuff in it, but can't bear to throw that out. So you've got many levels of old gas. First it goes into other sleds. After that, it's the rear tank of a Ford truck. Then it goes into the tractor, because that'll burn anything. Another issue we ran into last year was the windshield. We sort of had the, mid to high level windshield on it, and at top speeds, the little kicker at the top was kind of folding back, and the whole windshield was kind of flexing down. So we put a low profile windshield on it. I swear this suspension is becoming the bane of my existence. It's been in and out of that sled more times than the government's been in and out of my wallet. I mean, it was sort of working. Apparently we got a little bit of wobble in that one wheel, but I already smacked it with a hammer once to get it back in alignment. Blew apart one of the bushings for the idler wheel. I mean, this thing's only pushing 120. It's not like it's seeing a lot of abuse. Yeah, the speed cracks are hanging in there. But the main reason we actually pulled this whole suspension out was for further tuning and refinements, and to give everything, a nice once-over. Now here's something concerning. I just found these witness marks right here on this cross shaft from the idler wheels. I'll probably say that was during launch when the sled was coming back pretty far and compressing this the whole way. Now when you put something together like this and it's all kind of new and hacked and basically something that started from scratch, you're going to run into issues and have to implement some improvements. And that's where people are going to just say, see, I told you, you should have just put a bling bling, expensive suspension in there to begin with. But that's not the point. We chose to go with the stock suspension knowing that it was going to have some issues and we were going to have to work through it. And that means figuring things out and finding the problems. The problem is not waiting until your bank opens to get the money out to buy something new. It's just finding a way around it. So to get everything working we're going to have a lot of iterations and tuning that goes into it. Some of the main things are limiting the front ski lift when you launch. So we're going to work on the limiter straps up front, maybe some arm geometry, check in to see if we can increase the spring pressure in the back because we're not getting enough just from that coil spring apparently. So far the Ultra Bling billet aluminum wheels are still hanging in there. So we just jammed some E-clips in there as spacers, you know, to tighten things up. I mean, why buy shims when you got like 150 of these things that you're never going to use? And we just reversed that broken bushing, so the broken pieces on the inside and held captive. We're good to go. I mean, that's only like the most important roller in the whole bunch. And this wouldn't be a complete build if there wasn't some duct tape involved somewhere. We've got the limiter straps securely fastened here so you don't get inconsistent starts, you know, with varying tensions. When you need a bigger workbench, you just shove everything over. Oh yeah, these bearings are made in Romania. Those are good to go. The English bearings need replaced though. I just gave up and started ordering pegging bearings by the 100. Now I generally like to say that the procrastination will continue until stuff gets done. However, we are actually going to try and finish something. Getting ready to put this stuff back in, and glad the humidity's up. Really makes it enjoyable in here. Had to add an auxiliary catch can there because apparently if you fill this up over halfway, you know, you start spewing antifreeze, which isn't great when it's on the track. So I figured that'd be a temporary fix, which is probably going to morph into a permanent fix. Now when you're trying to dial in a sled's clutches, you know, it's very important to read the RPMs, see what your shift curve is like, when engagement is, all that good stuff. And traditionally, that is where a replay tachometer is the main tool for the job for that. However, they're like $500 plus, around there. I ain't paying for that, but I still need to get the job done. So what I've been doing for years is taking a cheap little GoPro camera or something of the like, and just strapping it to the bars and watching your factory tachometer. Now you have to make sure the factory tachometer is actually somewhat accurate. It may be off, you know, slightly above or below at the top RPM, but it'll still give you a really good idea of your shift curve and how the motor's acting. I've even used this in my car that has the EFI little readout computer. I guess you can data log that and, you know, put it into the computer somehow, probably. But you can also just get a quick snapshot of just recording a section of a run, watching your numbers, and you can't do all that while you're driving and shifting, and it's still helpful.